Yep.
Can you give me your first last name and how to spell it?
Yep. Donovan Scribes, Donovan. Last name Scribes. Yep.
Donovan, it's been almost 5 years. How far have we come?
How far have we come? I mean, I'll say that generally 5 years after George Floyd's murder, creating the largest global protest for Black lives, it feels like a lot of people have forgotten that that moment happened. There definitely were moments of progress, but when we look at things in totality, when we were talking about 400 years of systemic, purposeful inequality, it doesn't feel like we've really come to that when there's been so much emphasis on the protest as a negative now. And I saw that happening even before the first year was done of the protest, but definitely 5 years later we see a lot of emphasis on things like homelessness and crime and drug use and all those things, and being tied to the protests and tied to a Black liberation movement like we've never seen in this country. And so 5 years later, how far have we come? That's a good question. Yeah.
And I think something that you touched on in the article as well is like this magazine is an attempt at reminding people.
Right.
Can you tell us about that?
Yeah, it's an important reminder because, you know, the way things went down, we were all under COVID at that time, you know, and that was definitely a huge reason why the protests happened at the level that they did, because for the most part, all of us were locked down, work was not happening in the same way, and so people were kind of forced to see a man get murdered on camera for 9 minutes. And so that, I think, spurred a lot of people to take to the streets because there was nothing else there to distract us in the same ways. And so, you know, a year and a half later, after lockdown and everything, people kind of got back into the regular rhythm, even though we said we're not going back to normal. Things are fairly normal, and normal has been a status quo that has been killing Black people overtly and covertly for 400 years. And so it's important for us to remember why those protests were so visceral at that time, because it's visceral for Black people in this city, state, and country every single day. And I think one of the things that I had to cut from my article that I really wanted to emphasize for people was that you know, Harriet Tubman, she was alive at the same time as Thomas Jefferson and Ronald Reagan. Ronald Reagan ran on a campaign of Let's Make America Great Again. And so when we think about these things in context of time, we think about figures like Harriet Tubman as a long time ago, and we think of figures like Thomas Jefferson as a long time ago. But these things are not far removed by any stretch of the imagination. And so we a lot of times will point to time as the marker of progress when time is just time.
You had a line in there that was very interesting. It was something about symbols being inspiration and not a replacement for action.
Right.
Can you tell us about that?
Yeah, I mean, symbols color our lives. Symbols are a part of how we all move, and symbols can tell us whether we're welcome. Symbols can tell us whether a place is unsafe for us. And, you know, especially here in Oregon, you know, we had to really think about the foundation of the state. The state was founded to exclude Black people, and not just exclude, but to threaten Black people for even existing here, despite the fact that a Black man named York helped lead the expedition here to Oregon and was later sold back into slavery by the man who owned him, Clark, of Lewis and Clark fame, right? So, you know, this has been a very hostile state to us, and not covertly by any means. It's been written into our laws and our policies, and there's a reason that the Klan had its largest constituency west of the Mississippi here in Oregon. So symbols do matter, and the people who have controlled this state for the really relatively short existence that it really has been Oregon, 150 years, again, thinking about that thing that I said with Harriet Tubman, the people who have dominated the control of the state for a long time have put symbols up to themselves, while black people's uh, oftentimes massive contributions to the state have been obscured. So symbols do matter, and they can show up in like benign ways. Just thinking about what our street names are, what our park names are. And then there's more overt ways, like the fact that we're in a city council dispute right now over what things get funded and what things don't. When, 5 years ago we had tens of thousands of people saying to reallocate money from the Portland police budget, and now we have massive movement from city council and people in positions of power trying to stop any money coming from the Portland police budget, despite outcomes that continue to show us that the Portland police are harming a lot of its constituents. So, yeah, symbols matter, and we have to think about how our symbols show up with action. And so this is not just about street names, but it's part of it. It's not just about bridge names, but it's part of it. And it's not just about budgets, but budgets are a huge part of it too. Yeah.
So I have two last questions. One is simple: how can we get this?
Yeah.
But the first is, what can people do who actually want to help, who want to be part of the solution?
Yeah. Well, first off, people can get BlackOut in 500 different locations across the city right now. So anywhere that you find a Portland Mercury is inside of the food issue of the Mercury. So when you pick up a copy, when you open it up, it'll be right there for you. But for people that want to help, I would say there are so many different ways that you can get involved. I would say one of the things that matters most right now is showing up and participating in our city council budget process. And like I just said, we're in a massive dispute right now about what money to use, but somehow the Portland police are something that we just can't take money from. So maybe letting your city council people know that you would like to see that money reallocated in things that keep us stable, like our parks, like our housing, things like that. And same thing goes for our county, right? Like, because our county's in a massive budget dispute as well. So making sure that people actually share their voices with our city, county, and state is one of the easiest ways that you can get involved. And we're going to keep the conversation going beyond this. We're going to have a gallery show down at the Black Gallery that's actually tied to this very issue that's going to open on June 5th, so you can come and participate there. We'll have different calls to action for everybody. And then beyond that, we'll also be doing a city club conversation where I'll be moderating a conversation with some of the writers inside of this issue, and we'll have plenty of calls to action for people there too.
So Christopher, it's been 5 years since George Floyd died. How far do you think Portland has come?
I think Portland is a get ahead for a minute, but we also get scaled back real quickly. So I think it's a lot more work to do, but I've been seeing a lot of community members step up to the plate and speak on the things that matter.
You have a line that I thought was really profound. You said 5 years later, we have to ask, did you hear us? Do you remember? Or was it just another news cycle?
Correct.
Tell us about that.
Well, when I wrote that article, I was locked up at Oregon State Correctional Institution, and I was really indulged into the news and politics of things, and I was seeing that, killings was going on, and then it was just off to the next story, a political story. It really didn't, play a part that could really bring light to the things that's really going on in the community and bring awareness to what needs to be done in the community. It just was one killing and going on to talking about XYZ and not really honoring the people that really lost their lives.
So is your concern that this was sort of a trend?
Most definitely, I feel like it was a trend in certain news cycles. I feel like just used it as a fulfiller as they tried to get through their 30 minutes of news special or something.
Or clout, maybe,
yeah.
for people to... One thing I heard was people trying to act like they're heroes and trying to get in on the movement, but then when it died down...
Was not really with the movement. So, yeah, clout chasing, trying to play on to the hearts of black individuals just to get ratings and not understanding that possibly a mother or a brother or a dad had lost their life to the hands of brutality.
What do you think we need to be doing better? There's people who want to help and be part of the solution, but they don't know how.
Honestly, since I've been home, the things that I've been really doing is just reaching and talking to people that I usually probably wouldn't talk to. Having conversations with law enforcement, understanding them as a person, but also understanding that they are a part of this community. And I just think conversations need to take place on moving us forward and not moving us backwards.
What do you want people to know?
I just want people to know that actually Portland is a great place and it's full of love, and I don't want the negativity to overshadow the things that take place or the growth that Portland has seen. Just in my small time of being home, I've been received with nothing but love, and I just love community, so I just want people to know that Portland is still full of love and not full of all the headlines you think you see in the news.
Because you grew up here,
Absolutely.
and so when you came back, years later, how do you feel like Portlanders have grown?
I feel like Portland growns are really just hunger for that connection and community. Like tonight I have an event, it's called Night Sports, and I have basically all the community to come, and it's a safe place for kids. And this is my 5th one, and I'm seeing the hunger for the community as I throw each one. So I think it's important that we highlight that we bringing the community together with Night Sports, and I think that's what the community is hungry for. I see that every time I have an event.
So you like the community action? You like
Absolutely.
Actual volunteering?
Volunteer, collaboration, doing the work.
As opposed to just maybe holding up a sign.
Or hashtagging something.
There you go. Do you mind holding this?
Absolutely.
Just to the camera really quickly. Tell me what this means. Yeah. What does this mean to you?
Well, right here, this picture was taken when I was in EOCI. I was 3 hours away from my family, so didn't have a lot of connection. That look on my face is a jail look, a face I had to wear in order for me to survive in prison. But this article as a whole, this is me when I was in college, and I really had found a love for writing. And I took classes through the University of Oregon Inside Out program, which is a huge program that helped me change my life. So what you have here is me in a negative place, but me with my best work. So it's a beautiful thing.